Part 3. You will hear two students discussing a food waste research proposal with their tutor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Let us focus today on your proposed study of food waste in the two university dining halls. Sophia, could you summarize the research question?
We want to know whether short signs placed near the tray return area are associated with a reduction in edible food left on plates. The signs would remind students to take only what they expect to eat.
My original idea was a questionnaire asking students how much they usually waste, but I no longer think that should be our main method. People may not remember accurately, and some will give the answer they think sounds responsible.
Good. So what will your primary measure be?
We will weigh the edible leftovers collected after lunch. We can compare one dining hall using the signs with a second hall that does not display them.
That is a reasonable starting point, but weighing one lunch service is not enough. Waste can vary from day to day. How will you address that limitation?
We could collect data on several weekdays and include weekend sessions as well. The weekend pattern may differ because fewer staff members use the dining halls.
Yes, include both. Also, do not combine everything into one bin before weighing it.
I agree. We should separate categories such as rice, vegetables and bread. That will show whether any change is concentrated in one kind of food.
Exactly. A single total would hide useful variation. It could suggest a broad effect, even if the difference came almost entirely from one dish.
Before you hear the rest of Part 3, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Before we decide on the full design, tell me about your pilot observation.
We tested a simple reminder sign for 3 lunch periods last month. The hall using the sign produced 18% less edible waste by weight than during our baseline sessions.
That sounds encouraging, but I do not think we can say that the sign caused the reduction. The menus were not identical, and the soup option on one day probably affected how much bread people left.
That is an important caution. How should the conclusion be framed at this stage?
As an association, not a proven causal effect.
Good. Now consider the questionnaire again. Should it disappear completely?
I would remove it. If the self-reports are unreliable, they may distract from the weight measurements.
I would keep a very short exit survey as secondary evidence. It could ask whether students noticed the sign and whether they changed the amount of food they selected.
I agree with Sophia. The questionnaire should support the behavioral measure, not replace it. What else could distort the comparison between the two halls?
Menu changes. We should record any alteration in the dishes served, especially if one hall offers a popular special meal.
Correct. And there is a practical issue. Volunteers will decide what counts as edible leftovers. How will you improve consistency?
We can prepare written instructions with photographs of borderline cases, then test the wording during another short pilot.
That would help. We should revise any unclear examples before the main collection period.
Good. Your final task is to submit a one-page protocol. It should include the revised sampling schedule, the category list, the short survey and the classification guidance, so another researcher could repeat the procedure.
That is the end of Part 3. Now turn to Part 4.